Hey everybody, this is Tim Visconti from the Visconti Group, bringing you 30 seconds of value to start your Monday. Please like, share, comment, engage with our content in both in YouTube, LinkedIn, and other social media channels to help this new channel start to grow. We're just starting off in our journey here, providing short form content to help really share the stories that we've learned while building a multi-million-dollar brand. And those lessons could really impact our community with a broader reach. And your comments and your feedback help me create better content every day. So please give us a like, share, follow, tap that bell on YouTube so you can be informed when the latest content is dropped. But for today, we're going to talk about building rapport with offshore and nearshore teams. Everyone's heard it. Offshore, nearshore, outsource, blah, blah, blah. There's a lot of different ways of looking at this, but in the end, what you're really going to be focused on and when you're building these particular teams is building both competency as well as trust. So we'll use a couple of examples in our past from the Visconti Group. In the very early days, I came from a background where everything was distributed, everything was remote, everything was already offshore, well before COVID and all of those things kind of moved everybody into a remote environment. But back in 2017, I was working with a group in the Philippines that was focused on doing heavy operational functions for us. Shout out to the Philippines and their model. Tremendous working culture, tremendous folks that I've worked with throughout my past, and really have a lot of love to say for that particular part of the world. But you can go from the Philippines, which may have more alignment than with your current team, and then go to, say, India, or go, say, to in South America, maybe in Ecuador and Costa Rica. Each of those particular regions has their own set of cultural norms, has their own way of communicating how they do business and which way they do business. And it's a very interesting nuance for new leaders to be able to understand that not everyone works the same way. So, for example, meshing finance with a sales team may not mix so well. You know, I've worked with great teams on both sides. We even did a bowling event trying to bring in cross-functional team members once, and we put finance and sales together. Kind of an awkward thing that was going through, but even in that very limited and very immature example, you can see very rigid, process-minded, or versus very creative and breaking the box mindset of trying to get the deal done. That same level of competence and trust difference exists when you're offshoring, nearshoring, or working with a distributed global team. So in part 2 of this segment, we're going to talk about tactical ways of building trust, as well as improving the competence of your partnership with your nearshore or offshore team. Building trust is incredibly important when you're working with your nearshore team. So I'll bring an example here. When it comes to building in new markets, one of the very first parts of the playbook is to identify a key stakeholder that has influence within that particular region. So I'll use one of the team members on our group as well as when we were opening up our office in Puerto Rico. The very first thing that we were designed and set to do was find a leader that the team can rally around, someone that has built-in trust, someone that has built-in competence to execute what we need. Because as a company coming in from a different country, it is very easy to have mistrust, very easy to have different cultural norms and differences within that particular team. And even though I'd spent a good portion of my life traveling down to Puerto Rico, there were very interesting nuances and differences that existed that I needed to be educated on. So for example, and I love this difference, the Christmas bonus. Every employee or contractor in Puerto Rico is eligible for a Christmas bonus at the end of the year. And it is written into law. And I find that really interesting because you go from more of a US-based perspective. Christmas bonuses were reward-based or by leadership decision or discretionary based versus written into law. So a very interesting nuance behind each of that is because there's a difference in how employment is viewed in Puerto Rico than it is in the United States, even that small little nuance. Even the ways that how you formulate a business in Puerto Rico is very different than it is in forming a business in the United States. So to circumvent each of those challenges or to get around those particular challenges, hiring a competent and trusted leader for that particular market is that step one. So you talk about building competence and you talk about building trust. There's also an area of just being present. So part one of the playbook is to hire that particular leader. but then also to consistently travel and bring your leadership team to that particular market. So when we were opening up Puerto Rico, we traveled extensively to site selection for offices, to build rapport with the particular groups, to film podcasts, film media, all of these areas to build in more of that here we are with you kind of mindset. Even adjusting calendars for when time changes, because Puerto Rico is intelligent and they don't change the time. Hint, hint, U.S. Congress and senators, please, no more daylight savings time. But back to the point here is that when you hire a leader who has trust and competence in that particular market, and then you extend yourself consistently to be present with that particular team. Because again, you are the outside force that's coming in. You have to adjust and learn to that particular cultural dynamic and be able to really zoom out and say, how can we best make our trust bonds? And hiring a great market leader and then investing that time to be there consistently is a great way of going about it. But then the third bit is inviting the cultural differences and nuances into your organization. So how can that team, your nearshore or your offshore team, what can they do to jump into your ecosystem? So whether that is all hands meetings or Slack channels or different ways of just embracing the culture, doing happy hours, whether we drink or not. A lot of folks on my team don't actually drink. So we do a variety of coffee hours, or for those, and we do have some folks who don't drink coffee in our group, and not going to call anybody out, but don't know how you do it. But we bring in different taste selections or tastings of different things just to, again, bring it in. What can we do as a group to celebrate our differences, but also try to build our trust bond together? So a little longer than 30 seconds here, team, but the building a culture of trust and competence within your nearshore team is incredibly important for talent leaders and organizational leaders as we go into the future of this distributed world post-COVID. So again, this is Tim Visconti from the Visconti Group. Please give us a like, share, comment into our channel, help expand our audience as well, and give me as much feedback as possible, as your feedback is a gift and will help me create better content for us moving forward. Take care.